What's up YouTube, Wolf190D back, and I'm running the Whirlwind Deathblow Barbarian, and I am doing Nightmare Dungeons now. So we are well into Paragon, level 61, let's rock and roll. Now, for those of you that are wondering, yes, this does work a little easier with a party member. But I'm trying this one solo. I'm assuming crowd control elimination is going to be very important as you start getting into these. Picking up sacred items though, I'm kind of honestly at the point where I'm not even bothering with stuff like that anymore. And I will begin to go over paragons and stuff like that. I'm looking for, oh, there we go. Another Nightmare Dungeon sigil. Those are always nice. Pick those up when you see them, because it helps. Oh, I walked right into that, didn't I? Actually, I do need to recoup a little bit of cash. So, yes, things cost money, especially upgrades. Upgrades to your equipment, among other things, they cost money. So don't neglect your cash level. And notice combat tactics are more or less the same. We've just improved some of our abilities above and beyond that of what I did in the previous, what I had done in the previous videos. So I'm gonna run this dungeon real quick, obviously, and then give everybody an update. My skill tree has pretty much remained the same. I've done about what I said I'm going to do. I'll give a quick look at that. But what I really want to do now is start looking into Paragon. What works, what doesn't work, etc. As you can see, Deathblow is still kind of a really good resource generation technique, especially for this build. Just ramp up a bunch of it and then mow right on through them. Oh, and I am going to want to show gear because I did find this, I think, highly useful. It's very, very useful. Well, at least it's an aspect. I think it's going to come on other pieces, but I did find it on a pair of boots, but it is a really good aspect. Door has been unsealed, okay. There again, using Deathblow to ramp up a lot of fury very quickly, and then of course finish the large crowds with our Whirlwind. I don't even know that I need to pick up Rawhide, really. I'm still doing too much, going out of my way too much. I'm still, you know, there again. But it's all good. As long as the dungeon completion time is being reduced, trying to get it down to that magic 5-minute mark. Okay, he's gone. Travel to the Ritual of Rampage. Top off our fury real quick with those little pesky guys that are following us. There we go. Now, that is the Nightmare Dungeon. Pick up sigils, pick up, you know, rare gear at least. And don't neglect upgrading your glyphs. I'm going to go ahead and upgrade to this exploit here. Available to allocate 0. So, yeah, that was just a tier 1 dungeon, but... Alright, so let's go back to town, and I would like to sort of walk through and give some thoughts, at least this far, on Paragon. Now, by no means I have not reached the top level. I'm still working on some things, but this is my Paragon tree right now. Alright, and I have decided to focus on more so damage ability than protection, so that's why I didn't pick up the Iron Strength. I mean, that would have been nice. More strength means more armor and damage, but I did go with the raw power early on. Now, the board that I did attach was the Blood Rage board. All right. Reason for that is because no matter what I'm doing, and I'm really considering taking my primary weapon technique and switching it back over to just two-handed sword. That way every attack I do does bleed damage. Maybe not entirely necessary though, because I whirlwind through the larger crowds anyway. So I did select the Blood Rage board for my first board. Now, the first thing I did was I went up and I unlocked Blood Rage. Obviously, Berserk has killing a bleeding enemy has another chance to grant Berserking. Thought that was really nice. Then I went over here and I got the Enraged node, which, as you can see, with the bonus, it does 20% more damage while Berserking and another 15% of Berserk duration. And these two abilities also give you another 15% to your Berserk. Okay? Yeah, the Berserk's really nice. It's just crazy damage output. I mean, with the key passive, my Berserk's already doing 50% more damage. So, yeah, and then if I suck these nodes up later, and I'm really considering that as well, it's another 15% damage on top of the Berserk damage. Then I came up here and I grabbed Revel. Revel, well, increased damage to bleeding enemies, and again, once I whirlwind through a crowd, they start bleeding, so more damage, right? One concern I do have about this is that it seems to be a little willpower dependent, but I was worried about that actually, but now it seems like I've got plenty. And that might have come with running down altars of Lilith and levels and things of that nature. So maybe not as much of a concern as I had once thought it would be. Glyphs, glyphs are, and I don't have all of the glyphs yet. I don't have that. But what I do have is I have this really nice one here, exploit, that I've got down here. Once I level it up, I'm considering moving it up to the higher part because with its bonus, all right, and I really liked this one specifically because you deal 1.1 increased damage to vulnerable enemies. Okay. Well, my skills are making more enemies vulnerable all the time, so I am I have been pretty pleased with this one so far, the exploit. Also, I have selected Blood Feeder, and Blood Feeder I think is a fairly obvious selection for the particular path that I have selected for this, because more damage to bleeding targets. All right, so for every 5 dex purchased within range, you deal 2% increased damage to bleeding enemies. Okay, so right now I've got 1 dexterity purchased. All right, there's going to be others to come, I hope. Yes, there's 2 more up here, and I do need to get this to expand now, and that's part and parcel why I'm considering moving it down to this one. Though exploit also causes an enemy to be damaged, or an enemy damaged by you to become vulnerable for 3 seconds. That's actually kind of nice. So yeah, it only happens once every 20 seconds. And maybe I'm wasting my time on that, but for now it's been working out very, very well. Plus there's the 30% chance on my core skills to make enemies vulnerable. So whirlwinding through large crowds, you see a lot of solid vulnerabilities being engaged. So there is that. I am working my way towards grit at the moment, which is damage reduction from enemies that are bleeding. This is also I feel to be a very nice ability. I'm not sure if I'm going to go for fire conditioned, but I do want to at some point pick up the craving, because again, further damage to bleeding enemies, not to mention you get that damage bump to elites. And of course restorative also might come in handy, though I'm not terribly concerned with it. I might want to try to push for another one of these board attachment gates. So anyway, that's the Paragon board. And keep in mind too, if you've selected certain of these nodes just to bump certain skills, as you level up, remember you can always reallocate those. Once this one expands, my plan is to try to remove one of these lesser ones and put it onto this this better one. And again, it's just allocation of points. And unfortunately, I would need 3 of these to do what I really want to do. So it's a thought. It's a thought. But anyway, once you, I do recommend this. This is some advice. Once you get into World Tier 3 and you start getting your sigils to do nightmare dungeons, do those. Start doing your nightmare dungeons. The drops are going to be quite a bit better, but mainly it's getting you that experience for your glyphs. The glyphs are they're game changers. They really are. I've noticed that. My previous video was at level 42. This is at level 52, 10 levels later. But notice the difference in combat performance and how much more quickly I'm just running through. All right, enough on the skills. I do want to show you my gear real quick. Specifically these boots. If you're building a whirlwind barb, if you find these an item with this aspect on it, it's a very, very good aspect. Whirlwind periodically pulls enemies to you. Saves you a lot of time having to run people down. Not to mention, if you have built it similarly to how I have, where you're ramping damage to close enemies on top of all the other things, and especially This is actually another really nice aspect that combos with it. You heal 35 life per second for each close enemy, up to 204 life per second. So, yeah, the closer you get enemies to you, the better off you are. Again, it's less time, less fury that you're spending Whirlwind trying to run people down, which I kind of don't even bother with anymore, really. If they're running away, I'll just go do lunging strike. I'll hit them with that lunging strike because it just jumps to them when they're within a certain range of that. So there is that. The barrier is really important on the chest piece. It drastically improves your survivability. This aspect I'm not terribly impressed with. I mean, it's the best I've got right now. Damaging an enemy with a mastery skill, 34 chance to stun. So, okay, you get a nice little chance to stun your opponents. Cool. These are actually really nice. This aspect was also really nice. The 0.45 increased armor for 4 seconds when you deal any form of damage, stacking up to 45%. I had a better one, and I think the aspect when I took it off and re-imprinted it, it got a lower roll. So, does that happen? Does that happen? Anyway, yeah. So, this is actually really nice, though, especially for Whirlwinders, because you're rolling through crowds constantly. You're doing all kinds of damage as you do that. So you can quickly ramp this up and max it out, and for 4 seconds, you know, you've got another 45% armor. So that's very nice. That not terribly important of an aspect. This, though, I do like this aspect. Whenever you cast a shout skill, its cooldown is reduced by 1.1 seconds. So, per nearby enemy, right? So if you're in the middle of a crowd, you get crowd controlled, you pop that rallying cry to break it. However, enemies are near you, you get up to a 6-second reduction on its cast. So that is also a really good one to have. Oh, and let me see here. This also was an aspect I sort of stumbled across, and I was toying around with it, and it's the fire damage was a lot higher. Actually, it was like 400 and something when I pulled the aspect off of another item, but this aspect has been proving to be quite effective as well, because while berserking, and I mean, look at my previous builds, how long are you berserking for? You know, if I pop berserking off of something off of my paragon tree, that's 5 seconds, and then the key passive is giving me another 5 seconds. So yeah, while I'm berserking, I'm shooting. It doesn't have great range, but it does help, especially when you're mowing through crowds and dealing with elites. Every second that you're berserking, you're doing 239 fire damage. So it's just basically passive damage that you're ramping out. Anyway, thanks for stopping by, guys. As always, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.